For more on how gyms have been affected by the pandemic, my colleague Rachelle Akuffo spoke to Corbin Jennings. He's the owner of MADabolic, a gym that's reopening, and Rachelle began by asking Corbin how concerned he is that clients will do their part to keep the gym safe.
I don't with our gym. I've actually been really happy with how our clients have responded to it. No one's pushed back on the mask. We have X's they must stand on while demos are going on. Everyone stays on those. Everyone's wiping down things as much as possible. And before all this happened, I would consider ours to be one of the most cleanly gyms. We have a professional cleaning crew that comes through every single night. I'm super OCD with how all the weights are put back and everything. So one of the biggest compliments that we got before COVID even happened was how clean our gym is. So I don't have any reservations with our gym. I hope that everyone else is making sure that clients are kind of staying on it. And it is up to the trainer and the staff to keep enforcing this and make sure that people don't kind of revert to their old ways.
Now, we know that we're still obviously learning about the virus and how it reacts with people. And this is the first pandemic in a century. So some critics have said, look, we don't have enough information to be able to say, yes, it's safe to reopen or not. And we know that public spaces are still reopening. Some states are pushing back as they see spikes. Others are pushing ahead because, there are economic concerns. There's a lot of economic pressure there as well. What do you think about the pace of things reopening?
So I think, in my personal opinion, I don't see why face masks wouldn't be mandatory. And I've been to some of these other states where it's spiking and it's not mandatory. So that seems like a very simple thing. And then there should be signs everywhere for 6 feet away from each other so that people don't get within that. So that's one thing that I've liked specifically in Northern Virginia and Washington, D.C. that we've done. We've taken that pretty seriously. And it seems like most people adhere to the mask problems. And it seems like we're doing better with this than some other states. But I get that this is an impossible scenario for so many of us. I right now, even though we're open, I'm operating at 50% of revenue and I have every bit of cost that I had before. So most of us, we're not making any money for the rest of the year. We're just hoping to survive until 2021 so that we can hopefully be around and hopefully there's a vaccine. So it's just a really tough balance of this pandemic and the economics of it, and kind of how do we balance it. So I just kind of lean on our government officials, hope that they're all making the right decisions and will adhere to anything they put in place. Plus, we've also done much more than all their kind of minimum standards.
And what would you say were the biggest concerns that you had about sort of the reopening phase, as well as some of the biggest concerns that your clients had?
Some of the biggest concerns for me were just making sure that we lay this out from a procedural perspective, give a video to everyone, just have clear steps. I think the more clear all that is, the more that people will adhere to it. So we took advice from our nurses, doctors, everyone that's with us, tried to think out everything from the second they're walking down into our studio to once class is going on and trying to keep it as organized as humanly possible. So those were some of my biggest concerns. And I think we did a pretty good job with over the course of 3 months kind of planning that out. And then, we've got plenty of clients who they either live with someone that's immune compromised, they go back and see their parents who might be 70, and they're just keeping their account on suspension until we're done with the rest of this year, which is totally fine. We support that. So everyone's got different dynamics they got to kind of maneuver around. So we're kind of here to help whoever wants to come in, and whoever can't, we're happy to help put it on suspension until the rest of the year.
And if you have any messages for people who are sort of hesitant about joining a gym, if perhaps, they were in lockdown and would like to actually start exercising again, any advice for people who perhaps might be a little bit uncomfortable about what to expect?
So I feel free to call up a studio, email them, see what other procedures are. When you go in, see are they actually adhering to all this stuff? Because once again, it is on the staff to maintain all that. So if you go in and you don't feel comfortable there, try out another gym, see if they're taking it a little bit more serious. I hope that all of us are, but the reality of it is I'm sure some places will be managed where they're not paying as much attention to that. So if that's the case, just go try out some more gyms, because there are some of us out here who are taking this very seriously. And I consider this a privilege to be open throughout this time. So we will continue to take it very seriously.